CNN Presents continues now with After the Showdown. Once again, here's Bernard Shaw.
Welfare is just one of many federal programs Republicans want to hand over to the states. But will state lawmakers be any better at spending your money than Washington? History has some answers. 25 years ago, the federal government took over the food stamps program because 3/4 of the nation's poor simply weren't getting them. The Department of Agriculture found only 2 states were doing an adequate job. Are the states any better prepared today? To find out, David Lewis spent time in one state legislature.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
All members come to the floor.
Welcome to state government.
There's an old saying, there's 2 things you don't need to see being made, and that's laws and sausages.
Meet Larry Walker.
You better be in your seat if you're going to vote.
If this looks like a circus, he's one of the ringmasters.
I'm trying to find out what we voted on yesterday.
Mr. Walker. Walker's the Democratic majority leader of the Georgia House of Representatives.
Mr. Smith has an amendment that I don't have any problem with. It's not a pretty process, but it's the best process in the world when you get right down to it. I don't like name calling.
He's the kind of politician.
The minority leader has started the name calling.
And this is the kind of legislature that will control billions more dollars if Republicans in Washington have their way.
If anybody's ready in a citizen legislature, we're ready, I think.
When Walker says citizens legislature, he means part-time. 33 states work the same way. Georgia's lawmakers meet for just 40 pressure-packed days a year.
Clerk will unlock the machine.
Typical for the part-time legislatures across the country.
We're a lot closer to the people. I go home every weekend, even when we're in session. I know what the people are saying, and I know what the people are thinking.
Walker points to another advantage he has over Washington. No staff to get between him and the voter.
Unlike Washington, you can walk right up here and come in my office and talk to me. You don't talk to an aide. You talk to me.
But where Walker sees strengths in no staff and a short session, others see a recipe for trouble. Critics say the states just aren't ready. That legislators in 35 states simply have no policy staff of their own, no experts to help them with the large programs like welfare and Medicaid. The critics wonder how these legislators, without the staff, the time, or up-to-date ethics laws, could do the work the new responsibilities from Washington will demand.
All in favor of adopting the resolution, vote aye. Those opposed, vote no. The clerk will unlock the machine.
In Georgia, while having no staff keeps voters closer, it allows lobbyists closer as well.
A lot of lobbyists in the lobby.
Lobbyists trying to bend the ear and twist the voting arm of legislators.
What you got going on?
1277 is getting put on 1227.
Without time to reflect or staff to filter the issues they deal with, Georgia's lawmakers must rely on lobbyists for the most basic information.
Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
If it's anything that's controversial at all, controversial enough for anybody to even talk to you about it, you get both sides of the issue.
But critics say the corporate side of any issue has more powerful lobbyists with more money to spend. Public interest group advocates have to make do with much, much less.
On a day-to-day basis, these people can't compete with the oil industry, or can't compete with the banking industry.
Democrat Ken Poston is trying to level the playing field.
It's a real game, and it really has winners and it really has losers. And money just seems to be the common denominator throughout the wins.
Poston pushed through a Georgia law that forced lobbyists to disclose anything they spend to woo lawmakers. Only 7 other states have passed similar laws. By contrast, the U.S. Congress has just banned any gifts from lobbyists. But Ken Poston says the system in Georgia, despite his reforms, is still skewed in the rich lobbyists' favor. A danger if billions of federal dollars are handed over to the states.
Imagine so much more bigger decisions having to be made under this present system. It scares you, quite frankly. let's err toward allowing criticism of government.
Poston fought his own party's leaders to pass his ethics laws, leaders like Larry Walker and his fellow party heavyweights.
Yeah, he told us he'd do that.
Poston fears the worst if these same leaders who resisted his reforms get even more power along with Washington's billions.
Y'all save us some chicken.
We'll save you some chicken, I promise.
Yeah. We're going to have scandals. We're going to have misappropriations. We're going to have slush funds.
Walker disagrees and defends his legislature.
But I think largely this is a system that works. This is a great country, and it's a great state. And it hasn't gotten that way because the system is seriously flawed.
It's a little sign that says goodbye right on the front of my desk.
Poston's leaving to run for the U.S. Congress.
And God bless the state of Georgia. Mr. Speaker, I now yield this well.
He's had enough of the state legislature.
If the legislature had a dozen more Postons, they'd be in good shape, but they don't.
From the WAGA TV studios in Atlanta, Georgia, the Georgia Gang is now in session.
Tom Houck has covered the Georgia legislature for 20 years.
Take 4.
He says there are good reasons why Washington runs social welfare programs. Because when states like Georgia controlled the money, they did a lousy job.
The track record of Georgia in the past has been that there's not been a very generous state. And I worry that in the future what we may find is people falling beneath a very lower safety net.
Entitlement programs that provide the safety net for society's weakest are what's pumping up the deficit and what Washington wants to send back to the states. Georgians across the political spectrum worry that the state, by choice or by necessity, won't be able to do what the federal government has done.
There you go, sweetie.
Putting those least able to care for themselves, people like Emily Clark, at the greatest risk.
Emily has infantile myoclonic epilepsy that is very uncontrolled.
Yeah, she has been lately.
When 3-year-old Emily was born, she wasn't expected to live.
Girl.
But with extraordinary care from her parents, plus nurses and therapists, she has survived.
She's trying really hard to keep her head up.
The help costs money, tens of thousands of dollars a year.
Girl, what a big girl you are.
Private insurance covers some. Medicaid covers the rest.
That's it. There you go, sweetie.
Larry Walker thinks government should be supporting families like the Clarks. But he worries about tough choices the state might have to make if it controls Medicaid.
Well, we're going to have to decide whether to raise taxes or cut programs. It's that simple. Given the mood of the people in this body and given the mood of the people in this state, I'd say we'd probably cut some programs.
For instance, the program that pays for Emily's therapists.
What would happen if they weren't there?
A shiver ran through me when you said that. I can't even imagine not only what her life would be, but what our life would be.
There are Emilys in every state. Their parents face an uncertain future.
Well, I think that they've got a right to be concerned.
Although he wants federal money to come to Georgia, Walker worries about the future of his down-home legislature.
We get the job done, but whether or not we can continue to do it in 40 days, I don't know.
Ken Poston says Washington's money should stay where it is.
I see a train wreck ahead. They just want the train wreck to happen in somebody else's yard.
This outstanding recess, subject call and chair.
When we